Welcome to the Piston Fanatic. I'm your host, Dave Dalton, and I'm excited to share my passion and perspective of our Detroit Pistons as we go on this fantastic voyage together. I've been a diehard Piston fan since the days of Dave Bing and Bob Lanier. I've also been the varsity basketball coach of a very successful program in northern Michigan. I want to thank all of you for being such loyal and faithful listeners. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click on that thumbs up button. It helps somehow. I don't understand it all, but anyway, could be some big news coming down the pike here by July 6th. There's been a report that the Pistons are going to do a sign and trade with Dennis Schroder to the Kings. And what that does for us is by doing that, Schroder signing will be a sign and trade between the Pistons and the Kings that will allow the Pistons to take back $22.6 million. So what that is there's $14 million that are roughly, I think Schroder's making $15 million, but that's the mid-level exemption is 14.3. But somehow the NBA allows you, if you do this trade, you get an additional $8.3 million to add to your money to put into a trade. So we could have $22.6 million. Also, if we included some other players, and we're going to get into that a little bit later, we could even get a higher paid player. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But no matter what, even if we don't sign another player, it's going to generate an exemption for at least $14.3 million that's going to allow us to use later on, and it's going to give us more flexibility, and it's really exciting. So we're going to dig into some of the players that we might be getting, and we're also going to talk a little bit later about the dark stuff with Malik Beasley. It's really disappointing when you hear some of the things that have happened, not just this year, but recently with his money and even with a gun and stuff. But we just want to dig into this because, like I said, we've had some moves. We got Levert, and we got Duncan Robinson. But this could be bigger, and we've been wanting a stretch four. So my hope is that we get the stretch four and are able to get that. And we're gonna, like I said, the when you can start signing is July 6th. So a lot of these teams, this could be a 3-team trade. It could be a multiple team trade. There's even the Kevin Durant from Phoenix to Houston. I read somewhere that they might make that a 7 or 8 team trade, one of the biggest trade in NBA history, where they just pull in different teams for different reasons and different amounts of money. It's crazy to me how complicated things are. There's Kyle Metz. He's a really good guy. He goes out with Piston Jack sometimes, and he is really good about the salary cap and knows all the nuances and the ins and outs. It's really so complicated. But anyway, we have a chance to add a player or add some flexibility to us down the road. And again, the trade can be expanded. It can be expanded, I think, even after July 6th, but most people think that the Kings are going to want to have it done by then. So the rumor was that there was going to be a 3-way trade. The Kings were going to get Kuminga and Schroder. The Warriors were going to get Devin Carter. You probably don't even remember him. He was in the draft. He was a pretty high draft pick, but he was injured. But he's a point guard freak athlete, and Dario Saric. And then the Pistons were going to be able to get this whoever we could get in the trade for $22.6 million. So that's remains to be seen where that player would come from. So, we would get Malik Monk. And so this trade would be done already if we wanted Malik Monk, but obviously we don't, because it could have been just a 2-way trade and we would have got Monk. But now they're made it into a 3-way trade and we would get Monk. And I wanted Monk really bad. In 2022, he played for Charlotte. He did pretty good. Charlotte drafted him. He was really young still, and they didn't want to re-sign him. So the Lakers signed him to a minimum contract. And then he had a great year with the Lakers, shot 40% on threes, and the Lakers couldn't re-sign him because it's just like Jake LaRavia, the Kings could not re-sign him because of some contractual things. But anyway, I wanted to get him, and I told friends I want the only free agent that year I wanted to get was Malik Monk because he fit our timeline. He was only like 22 at the time. He wasn't making anything. The Kings signed him for 9 million, 9 million a year for 2 years, and then he just took off and had some great years for the Kings. But I don't want him now, and obviously Trajan doesn't want him partway because now he makes about 20 million a year and he's under contract for 2 years. But I think the bigger problem is we have too many guards. We have Cade and Ivy and Levert and Sasser, and to add another guard, where are the minutes going to come from? And he's talented. He shot really bad this last year, so I think that's one reason they're trying to give up on him. He shot like 32% on threes, and yeah, and that was bad. But he averaged 17 points a game, 3.8 rebounds, 5.6 assists, which is really good. He's explosive, man. He can do some freaky dunks. He's only 6'3", but he shot 44% from the field, 32. But he shot 32% from threes this year, and so he had shot in the past, like for the Lakers. I said he shot 39%. So yeah, we'll see what happens or where they might reroute him or if there's what other teams are going to get done. But I held out today. I've been ready to do this podcast since last night. I just keep on. One of the challenges of being a podcaster with a pro basketball team when it's free agency time or trade deadline time is you want to wait to the last second because something's going to come across. Like I was doing the Duncan Robinson signing trade that we just got done with, and I saw how much he made, and I announced that on my podcast, and then luckily I had my phone right beside me, and so I was able to see. I got a notification finding out that it was a 3-year deal, but only the second year was only partially guaranteed, and the third year wasn't guaranteed at all. So when you do a sign and trade, it has to be a 3 um, year contract. And so the same thing with Schroder. Schroder's last year, I think he has 2 years guaranteed with the Kings, but I think the last year his contract is not guaranteed with the Kings. So I hope this happens. And I have some guys. I have some guys that I want. And um, John Collins is number one on my list. He's been in the league forever. I should have checked how many years he's been in the league. He's only 27, but he's 6'9". So I wanted this 6'9", 6'11" guy that can shoot threes. He shot 40% on threes this last year, averaged 19 points, 8.2 rebounds, 2 assists, 53% from the floor, 40% on threes, and like about 30 minutes played, 30 minutes a game. And it's just crazy. But here's what the Jazz are trying to do. So Danny Ainge, usually tries to screw everybody on trades, but they kind of want to unload him because he's making 26 million, and they want to play their younger players. They're going young. They've drafted players. He doesn't fit their timeline, and he's going to gobble up minutes that would go to Taylor Jenkins and maybe Ace Bailey if he shows up. So they're trying to get rid of him, I think. And so hopefully they will give it, they would trade him. But if we get him, so we got that 22 million, 22.6 million that we can get by just signing and trading Shooter. But if we added um, other players, then we could get more. And I know Kyle suggested that we could get more if we added Ivy, but I don't think most of us want that. But we could add, if we added Sasser and Klipman to the trade, we could get up to the 26 million and get John Collins. But John Collins is only under contract for 1 more year. He had a player option and he picked it up. So he's my number one target. Like I said, the Jazz want to get rid of his contract, and so the Jazz already unloaded Clarkston, and the Knicks picked up Clarkston, and he's a great shooter, but he's not fitting their timeline age wise. He makes a lot of money, so they were happy to unload him. So next guy is PJ Washington. I've been talking about him for a while, and he's 27 years old also. He's 6'7", not 6'9", but he averaged 14.7 points, 7.8 rebounds, 2.3 assists. He's a good all-around player. Shot 45% from the floor and 38% on threes. So he's a versatile defender. He goes in there and he bangs, and he's owed $14 million next year. Just he only has 1 year left on his contract, so obviously we didn't want to give up too much, too many years on a contract. But he, maybe we can re-sign him if things work out, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, Trajan didn't want Monk, otherwise that deal would have been done, I'm sure. There's other players that Kyle, you need to follow him on Twitter, Kyle Metz, and he mentioned Kuzma, who I don't want. Dylan Brooks, Dylan the villain, I don't want him. Harrison Barnes, he's too old. Rui Hashimura, I don't think we'd be able to get him. Patrick Williams has got a terrible contract that the Bulls foolishly re-signed him for. Keldon Johnson he plays for the Spurs. He's a good forward that can score the ball. He's not real tall or physical, but he's got, I don't know when his contract's up, but he has a descending contract. So his contract isn't going to be very much at all. And then Jonathan Isaac, a lot of us love Jonathan Isaac. He's that stretch four, but he's not always a consistent shooter, but he's a heck of a defender. So he would be a little bit interesting. Let's see. Obi Toppin, Jared Vanderbilt, like I said, PJ Washington, he mentioned, and he's under the thing. And the guy that a lot of us would want, if there's guys that we really want really bad, like, I mean, everybody keeps on mentioning it. And I will be so happy to be wrong if we ever got Trey Murphy. I would, I wouldn't trade Jaden Ivey and 2 first-round draft picks for him, but I would trade, I don't know, I might trade one. He's just what we need, and he's a great 3-point shooter, and he's 6'8", and he's a great defender, and so, or at least above average defender. So he would be a guy that I would really want. But Keegan Murray, so I seriously doubt they would ever give up. He had a very disappointing year. He didn't shoot the ball well. They might think it's time to move on from him. They have new management there that didn't draft him, and so he's going to be up for an extension. So that is a challenge. We got Ivy and Duran that need extended, and then next year, then Asar is going to be eligible for, Asar and Holland are going to be eligible for extension. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. So Summer League's coming up, July 11th, and that I mentioned him before, is Akai Ziegler that played for Tennessee along with Chaz Lanier. He applied to get a 5th year of eligibility in college, but he dropped his application for that, and he's just going to play pro ball, and he's going to play on our summer league team. But he's only 5'9", and he didn't shoot well, so it's not too many 5'9" guys that can't shoot. Not too many 5 guys that can shoot in the NBA. So interesting, all the things that have happened. There's so much that's unfolded, and I think there's more things that are going to happen. But the Eastern Conference favorites on the betting lines from, I don't know if this is from ESPN, but it's the Cavs and Knicks are plus 290, and the Magic have the 3rd best odds to winning, plus 425. They added all those players. The Hawks have had a great offseason. They're plus 900. The 76ers, now, the East is going to be way tougher than it was. There's not going to be all these tanking teams. I mean, there's probably going to be some tanking teams that we don't know about. For example, the Pacers could end up tanking. And what in the world happened with Miles Turner? We talked about that a little bit. But the Sixers have better odds than us. They're plus 1,000. The Celtics are plus 1,100. I saw some other betting site where the Pistons had better odds than the Celtics, but on this one, the Celtics are plus 1,100 and the Pistons are plus 1,400. So, and the Bucks are plus 1,600 even after signing Miles Turner. So, the Bucks, I mean, in my opinion, it was a no-brainer to trade Giannis, blow it up, start over. They could have got the world for him, and now they screwed themselves because they waived Lillard, and now they stretched his contract, so now they have to pay him for 5 years, 20-some million a year over 5 years. And so even though he's not going to be playing for them, but it really affects them. So I don't know if you heard about the red panda. I watched her before. She's the one that rides up way up high on the unicycle, and she puts all those bowls and she'll flip them off her feet and right up on top of her head. But she fell off that. That's a high. It's way up there, and she broke her wrist. So prayers for her. Uh, let's see what all I got next. Oh, this thing really ticks me off. The Fever have this player. She's a tough player. Sophie Cunningham plays for the Fever. You know, they announced that we're getting a team in 2029, and she said, "I'm not sure if how many players would be excited to play in Detroit or Cleveland. Just stop talking, Sophia Cunningham. The shot players, I guarantee you, you go to all of them. They loved playing in Detroit. They loved playing for our fans. They love being here. So, yeah, she doesn't know what she's talking about. So that's unfortunate. So now let's get into the dark side of Malik Beasley. I should have popped this in sooner, but so Beasley, um, he has all this debt that he's had, and he just paid some of his debt off. He owed like he went to this fancy barber shop and he owed like $30,000, and he just paid off, and he went to um, another place where he had a, let's see, what was it, $30,000 for the barber shop and the dentist. He got this. He owed 30,000, so he paid those off like July 2nd of this year that he's owed for a while. He's got sued by people for $650,000 from a marketing company, and from Hazen Sports. They're suing him for 1.65 million. So he's got something wrong. So we need to pray for him. I still, there was the thought that we could get him, but you know, like I said, Terry Rozier got found innocent, but it's not looking good with when he's got all these past history. And so, like in 2019 or something, somebody was messing around in front of his house, and he pointed a rifle at him, and he got 120 days of jail time. It ended up getting it so that he kind of got probation, or he got house arrest, and he had some marijuana on him too. So I mean, now that's legal, but he, he's a little bit troubled. He seems so vibrant and so cheerful, and he's so happy, and he's so much fun to be around. And he was so great. It was contagious with his teammates on and off the court, and yeah, so it's too bad, but he's obviously got some issues, and so hopefully he works through those, and hopefully he's innocent and he comes back and plays. But anyway, I'm going to jump on as soon as the Pistons make this big deal for using up this deal with the sign and trade with the Kings. I will jump on as soon as I absolutely can, and hopefully we're going to get some new good players. So anyway, thank you very much for listening. Tell a friend, and go Pistons.